following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Mick Shots.
Streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
Under the superb producing direction of Chris Beam, here it is, a Tuesday edition of Mick Shots. And yes, the victory tower is still lit behind me. Tis the season, tis playoff season in the National Football League as the Cowboys are in position to win a spot in the tournament. Bill Jones with Everson Walls in his Cowboys gear, Mickey Spagnola in his Cowboys gear inside the SWBC Mortgage Studios at Ford Center at the Star in Frisco. And here we are. It's the final week of the regular season. Everson, let's give you the first thought as we get started on this Tuesday.
Well, my first thought is, Chris has really been asserting himself as a producer here. And I think that's kind of necessary because, it's not named Mick Shots for no reason, right? I mean, it's Mick Shots because Mick can be a jerk sometimes. So Chris don't play, right? I'm going to start calling Chris Mr. Carter. Remember the old Lean On Me movie? Morgan Freeman was running the high school and he had the bat. Yeah, we're going to start calling Chris Batman. How about that?
Chris Beam is the one who keeps Mickey in line on Mick Shots. And Mickey, how are you doing on this fine Tuesday?
Good. We're talking playoffs.
Playoffs?
Possibly.
I tell you guys, I do have a scenario that I really didn't think of because usually you're talking about college players going into bowl games. And some of them who are highly touted, they opt out. Like, look, I'm about to get drafted. I don't want to get hurt playing against, somebody like North Carolina State in a bowl game or something like that. So now, this morning, they talk about Pittsburgh Steelers taking that same attitude. They have decided not to start Ben Roethlisberger along with many prominent starters on their squad. So now, I think they were going to play the Browns. They're going to play the Browns. So those other teams, Miami, some of those low-hanging teams that are trying to make the playoffs in the AFC, what are you going to look at now? What are your options? How do you feel about a team basically tanking a game because it doesn't do them any good? They can't improve their position. That's something that all of a sudden, it's a foregone conclusion on the Browns-Steelers game. So whoever's expecting the Steelers or the Browns to put up a fight one way or the other, that's already pretty much predetermined because I can't see Pittsburgh beating the Browns without Roethlisberger or many of the prominent starters that they've decided to sit.
So advantage Cleveland is what you're saying.
Advantage Cleveland and those that need Cleveland to win for them to get in. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, I'm thinking that a bunch of teams need Cleveland to lose to get in.
There you go. It's all determined. It's all been, I think, now predetermined because I just can't see the Steelers winning without their starters.
You okay with Washington cutting Dwayne Haskins?
Hey, if it can benefit the Cowboys, I don't give a damn what Washington does.
Well, I just
see what I'm saying.
I just saw
something. What I'm saying?
I just saw something that Rivera said that he seems confident that Alex Smith will be able to play on Sunday. But who knows what you say at the beginning of the week, right? Smoke screens could be out there.
I don't like that. I don't like that. Alex Smith he was doing very well before that calf started screwing with him. And boy, he's going to come out fired up and ready to go.
And what I had heard, and I can't remember if it was one of those information guys at the major sports networks, either NFL Network or ESPN, I can't remember which one, said that Alex Smith, Washington felt like on Friday that Alex Smith was going to be good to go this past week against Carolina. He had a little bit of soreness on Saturday, and then they just, as a group, decided let's hold off. Let's give it another week because they didn't have to win on Sunday against Carolina. Yeah, they would have benefited greatly had they won, but they didn't have to win. And so I think they feel pretty confident Alex Smith is going to play against Philadelphia Sunday night. And I would imagine that it made it a lot easier for them to make the decision to go ahead and release Dwayne Haskins, especially because Taylor Heineke.
That I agree with, Bill. That I agree with.
And Heineke had moved past Haskins anyway. So if Smith can't go, they were comfortable with going with Heineke over Haskins. So. And
who actually came into the game at the end and played better.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. And so with the issues that were going on anyway with Haskins over the course of the last week, or if not longer than that, they just decided to cut bait now, and we'll see what happens. You know, the other thing as it relates to Philadelphia and Washington. In regards to what you're talking about, that one thing that I was thinking about in this COVID year where opting out has been something that was prevalent even before the season began, what about these teams with veteran players who now come down, who are out of the playoff hunt, and now they come down to the last game of the season? They might be even more apt to opt out of this game than in previous years. One guy in particular is Fletcher Cox, who was on the sideline anyway and had been nursing an injury, and he didn't practice last week coming into the Cowboys game, and then left with a stinger. I would think the chances of Fletcher Cox playing against Washington are not great at all this week.
Yeah, but I don't think you would. I mean, I don't think you can call it an opt out because I think there was a deadline to opt out for COVID reasons. So
right.
You
but
could
you
just
can easily just
it can be an unofficial.
Right. Yeah, it wouldn't be called an opt out. It's an unofficial.
It'd be like one of the college guys say, I'm not playing that bowl game. I got nothing to gain. I got to get ready for the draft.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which, by the way, on the college thing, I'm all for right now with the state of college football. Not to get too into this topic, but I'm good with every NFL draft prospect who's not playing in a national semifinal opt out of these bowl games. Opt out, and that is the only way we're going to be able to fix college football, where they can expand the playoffs into an 8-team playoff or whatever and make these games matter. You get all those players opting out, and then they'll understand that they've got a broke product in college football as far as the bowls are concerned.
Or you can be like Missouri and have a COVID outbreak and have to cancel your bowl game.
Is Missouri the reason that they canceled?
Yeah. And you probably don't want to go to Nashville anyway with the problems they've been having there.
That's right. They were in the Music City Bowl.
Yes.
Watch out, Spags.
Yes.
Watch out, buddy.
Yeah. So anyway, when you look at this final week of the regular season, there's so many different variables at play. And by the way, I know, Mickey, you're not big into fantasy football. This is why the fantasy football season ends in week 16 and not in week 17, because you never know who's going to actually be playing in the games in week 17. Obviously, the Cowboys need, and I think the Eagles will put a good effort out there. I think they benefit from the fact that Jalen Hurts is at quarterback. He has shown that he's got good leadership ability, and his teammates want to play for him. And really, the younger guys, they've got a lot to play for on every team. Have a lot to play for in terms of making an impression for next season.
Yeah, especially those young cornerbacks, right, trying to find their way in the league. You would think the running back, Sanders, he needs to play, right? He's trying to earn a job, and they don't draft a running back ahead of him. And yeah, I just think the guys that play will play. No one wants to put bad tape out there, and everybody knows that at some point maybe free agency looms on the horizon, and somebody will go, well, let me see how this guy played game 17 or game 16 in 2020, right? And they go, and he did that? Seriously? I don't want him. So I think those things you have to take into consideration about, just going up and going through the motions and playing the last game of the season.
But on the other hand, you have to be excited about some players' opportunity. You've got some guys, we talked about all the practice players the Cowboys have been using on the offensive line, talking about the secondary being depleted. So now you've got guys like, and I know his name, but remember when we first saw him, number 40. You're like, who the hell is number 40? Well, now Parker, if I'm not mistaken, is his name.
Parker.
Yeah, he's on film now, and he can shop himself around, and he is amongst many other players that have an opportunity to do that, who otherwise we would not know who in the hell they were if it wasn't for 2020 and the pandemic, and that gave those guys an opportunity to show when otherwise they would just probably be another practice player on another team if they're lucky. Now you've got a chance to actually take some film with you and show what you did. That's good stuff.
The irony of Stephen Parker is they kind of need him now, but he's on IR. Who knows if
but once
Xavier
again,
Woods
for next
is
year, this
offseason
could be, if he's lucky, he could be very busy.
I know, but we didn't even know who he was, and now we're sitting there going, gosh, it would have been nice if he was still there with Xavier Woods. Who knows if he's back or not. It was like the same thing with Brandon Knight. You're sitting there going, oh, Brandon Knight's playing left tackle. And then he gets hurt, and it's like, oh, no, what are you going to do without Brandon Knight?
Hey, you know who on the Cowboys roster might have benefited the most from the new rules during the pandemic and so forth? Think about who might have benefited the most on this Cowboys roster from where his career was going into this season and where it will be coming out of this season, all because he had an opportunity with expanded practice squads and the COVID rules in the league where he has a chance now to revive his career. Who do you think I'm thinking of? Garrett Gilbert.
Gilbert?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Garrett Gilbert. Because if Garrett Gilbert, if it was a normal year, he would not have qualified for the practice squad because he's too. The reason he was still in the league was because he had practice squad eligibility this year, and so he's sitting there on the Browns practice squad. And then when the Cowboys had a need, and and the head coach had some product knowledge from going back to high school at Lake Travis High School in Austin, he got an opportunity.
Information from you, Bill. They came straight to you when they wanted information on any quarterback that won the Texas High School State Championship.
There you go. But think about it. So he played one game and almost beat the unbeaten Pittsburgh Steelers, doesn't get into another game, and he is going to have an opportunity, whether it's here with the Cowboys or elsewhere at the age of 30 next year, that he might not. He might have been playing in whatever spring league is going to arise coming out of this pandemic.
I would carry that game film with me wherever I go. Anyone that would be my middle name. Garrett almost beat the Steelers. Gilbert, that's my name.
Yeah. Let me send you a link to my game film.
He had him down to the 21-yard line before things fell apart in the final minute.
Yeah.
Before I pulled out some of my hair, yeah, exactly.
Here's the other thing, though, that scares me about the whole scenario that's going to play out on Sunday. Cowboys take care of business. They play well. They beat the Giants. Okay, they're now on their flight home, and they're getting home, second half of that Washington-Philadelphia game, turning on the television. And what is the story of the year in the National Football League as far as comeback stories?
Alex Smith.
And you know, Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth are going to be playing up the Alex Smith story. And if he has an opportunity to win that game and propel the Washington football team, which, by the way, was the other story of the offseason, them changing their name to the Washington football team, if Alex Smith is the guy that's putting them in the playoffs, that you talk about stories, that scares me from a Cowboys perspective that it might play out on Sunday night.
Well, the other part
Sometimes
of that, though,
you just don't like all of those things.
The other part of that is if the Cowboys win and Washington's losing, then the story is Andy Dalton maybe reviving his career, by the way.
There you go.
And also, by the way, earning some serious incentive money by playing more than 50% of the snaps and getting the Cowboys into the playoffs. I think it's $1 million. It's $1 million.
7 figures.
And if they happen to win, I think it's another $500,000.
Wow.
Okay, so let me revise what I said about Garrett Gilbert. All right. Because when you think about it, where Andy Dalton was in his career coming into October, and if Dak stays healthy the whole year, and with everyone leaning towards the young quarterbacks, the way he's played here in December and has the opportunity perhaps to play on into January, even beyond January 3rd, he could propel himself back into starter money in the National Football League.
Yeah,
you know what? As you brought that up, here's what's unique. We haven't even talked about, as we've talked about in previous seasons, the ability to win after Thanksgiving, right? That was always our push. Either we made or we stunk up our season based on that stretch. Well, here we are now. I think we've had one of the more successful Decembers in a minute. You know, here we are 3 in a row in December. That hadn't happened for a while, and when that has happened, it's always on the cusp of either we're going to make or break this season. So I'm very proud of the fact that Andy was a part of that. And not just that, guys. Let's look back to when he got knocked out, you know, a concussion protocol. All right, we're ready to come back. Cowboys are losing. We look bad. We got 3rd string, 4th string quarterbacks, and he has COVID. Okay, so then now that pushes him back even more as far as his progression is concerned. And now once he finally gets a chance to get a number of consecutive games under his belt, he's shown us what he can do and why they brought him here. So, yeah, he's looking pretty good. Will McClay looking pretty good in regards to finding players that can help push this team along even during these tough times.
You know, the other thing about playing in December, and we're up against it, we need to go to a break here in a second, but the other thing to keep in mind, and I'm looking it up right now, is Mike McCarthy in his first year with the Green Bay Packers. Okay, they finished 8-8 in 2006. And what did he do in December that year? The last 4 they started the year 4-8, and they won their last 4 games in December to finish at 8-8. And then what they do the following season?
14-2.
There you go.
And we're an overtime.
Was that when they ended up in Dallas?
And we're a overtime away from going to the Super Bowl in the NFC title game against the Giants.
They actually were 13-3, but that was close enough, Mickey.
All right. I thought I had it.
And of course, that was the year. Of course, that was 07. More bad Cowboys memories when the Giants beat the Cowboys, and then the Giants go to Green Bay.
That's when we were 13-3. Yeah.
Yeah. We were the Packers and the Cowboys were both 13-3 that year. But anyway, there you go. It says a lot about McCarthy in his first year. A season much like this one, where it's kind of going down the tubes, and they finished strong, and then they parlayed that into a pretty nice little run that he had in Green Bay.
I'm going to call Bill Parcells and tell him Bill Jones disagrees with you. You are who you are at Thanksgiving.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yep. Good point. Parcells didn't know everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, watch out now. Let's be careful. That's my guy.
Jerry making some news on the radio this morning, and Mickey's got the full report when we come back on Mick Shots.
Hey there, Cowboys fans. With Tide Cleaners at-home pickup and delivery, cleaning your clothes has never been more convenient. Simply sign up at your local store, set out your dirty clothes, and one of our Tide Cleaners professionals will come directly to your home for a totally contactless experience. Your clean garments will be returned promptly the next scheduled delivery day, so skip the errand and enjoy life, not laundry. Visit TideCleaners.com or your local store to sign up for Tide Cleaners at-home pickup and delivery today.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Grab some OtterBox gear and get ready for hanging with the boys. From rugged venture coolers to tough as nails elevation tumblers, we've got what you need to keep your game day drinks frosty and your football feast ice cold. And with cases, screen protectors, and power accessories, you can defend your phone and stay connected to every play. Gear up at OtterBox.com and amp up the fun of every Cowboys game. That's OtterBox.com.
We're back with a tasty treat that's sweeping airwaves and taste buds. It's new Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda. Let's take a listen.
Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda's here. A new combo that's music to my ears, okay. Let's play. Cream Soda and Dr. Pepper time. Pour it in a glass of ice.
Music to my ears and mouth. New Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda.
A delicious duet.
Back to Mick Shots.
You can now support your beloved Cowboys from anywhere. Open up AT&T's Fan Zone feature inside the Cowboys app and record your personal cheer and referee signals. You'll receive a personalized mosaic and may show up on the AT&T Live FX video board during the game. Mickey is sitting there perusing something, not to get into your business there, Mickey.
Yeah, this
hopefully
is private.
It has something to do with the show.
I was making sure I had the read for the next break.
There you go. All right, Jerry was on the radio this morning. Any highlights that you gleaned from Jerry's weekly appearance on The Fan?
Yeah, the last thing he said, as they say, there's a pony in here somewhere. I don't think I've heard that one before.
I have not heard.
What does that mean? I'm sorry.
What was the context? I'm
They were talking. They finished talking about not only the possibility of having a playoff game at AT&T Stadium, but also a Cotton Bowl and a Rose Bowl. And to think that the stadium's going to could host all 3 of those within a week's time, and they were just talking the playoff possibilities for the Cowboys. And he said, as they say, there's a pony in there somewhere. I heard the story, so we got.
Well, yeah. What Jerry's saying is, I'm going to make some money off of this, some kind of way. I'm making some money off of something.
And then he also, not only did he inject the pony into his segment, but he also injected the buzzards into the segment, and we've heard that one before.
That's right.
Sitting on a fence and waiting for kind of something to come by for food and being patient and everything. And one of the buzzers to turn to the other one and said, "To hell with patience! I'm going to kill something." And it was in
And
reference.
That would be Jerry going to kill something.
It was in,
All right, and that one, it's important to talk about the context of
right,
what he was talking about.
It was
he was
in
asked
reference
about
to
Kellen
Moore. Yeah. And, Stephen had pointed out sometimes when these opportunities come, sometimes you have to be patient. And kind of pointed out, we kind of kicked it off back and forth. I guess we really didn't talk about it that much yesterday about Kellen looking like he would have the opportunity to take the head coaching job at Boise State. I see both sides of that. Obviously, we'd all like to go victoriously back home and do something great. But then also, when you've set the bar as high as he has as a player at Boise State, you better be careful because they might expect that as a head coach. Now, you probably expect that of yourself. And then the other thing is what if you continue to do what you've been doing for these 2 years as an offensive coordinator in the NFL? I don't think teams have any problems hiring a 34-year-old head coach these days. And I think you have to just decide where's your priority lie. Is it in college or would you want to do it in the NFL? He has head coaching in his genes, right? His dad's a head coach. And I don't remember if I told you guys this story, but his grandfather was a decorated high school basketball coach in the state of Illinois. He had gone to Western Illinois, earned his degree, and started coaching high school basketball. And I didn't know this until Kellen Moore showed up. And one of my college roommates informed me of it because he knew about the Washington history of the Moores, that his grandfather, and this was way before I was in high school, actually won these awards coaching high school basketball at my high school, if you can believe that. We go all the way back, and he talked about coming and where the town I lived, there was a forest preserve between the next town, and that's where his grandparents lived, and they used to go there to visit back in the day. So anyway, there is head coaching in his genes all the way back to his grandfather.
I have to say, if I'm in Kellen's position, you talk about going back home and coaching for an alma mater where you were a legend. That's one thing, but he's still young, to sit up here and say, okay, it's time for me to go back home at 34 years old.
32.
Trust me, Boise State's a great school, and I'm sure with him being there, that's his place. He feels comfortable there. And of course, it depends on what goes on with his family situation and how that works. We never really consider that, but of course, the coaches always do have to consider that. But when I look at Kellen's ascension into his position where he is now, and then maybe even going further on as a head coach for the NFL, to me, that's the possibility for him. In regards to going back, if you want to go back home, man, you got plenty of time, God willing, to go back home. Wait till you're around 50 years old or something like that. But to go back to be a head coach at Boise State, right, while you still have a chance to make big noise in the NFL, to me, it's a no-brainer. But like I said, that depends on his family situation and what his ideals are. I have high ideals for him that he will be a head coach in the NFL.
And the other thing you have to consider is he's got to ask himself, am I ready to be a head coach? It's one thing to be a coordinator, and we've seen how teams have promoted coordinators to become head coaches, right? And they're not head coach material. They're great coordinators, and I'm not saying he's not. Is he ready after 2 years as a coordinator, 1 year as a quarterback coach, to be a head coach and take on a program? Does he know enough people to hire a staff? And that's one of the things they'll ask you. What kind of staff you going to put together? So he has to ask himself those things. And what I always remembered is sometimes you do have to be patient. You remember when Mike Zimmer got interviewed for the head coaching job at Nebraska, and he decided, I don't think I like that situation. He stayed. Remember when Sean Payton interviewed for the Raiders head coaching job, and he felt uncomfortable with the Al Davis situation there and the fact that they didn't have a quarterback, and he felt like this just isn't right, and he remained with the Cowboys. And the same thing with Jason Garrett when he was the offensive coordinator, and he interviewed at Baltimore, and they were offering him the job, and he turned it down because he felt like head coach of the Cowboys was in his future at some point. So, yeah, we always have to ask those guys where they're at in their coaching careers and not just take the job to take the job, because the last place you want to do is go someplace where it's a coaching, it's a coach killer. And I remember this story, and then I'll let you go. Back in when I got to Jackson, Mississippi, Steve Sloan had been the head coach at Texas Tech, right? And he was Bear Bryant's. It might as well have been his son, right? And Bear Bryant advised him, don't go to Ole Miss. It's a coach-killing spot for you. And he didn't listen. Parcells went to Army instead of going to Ole Miss with him, or went to Vanderbilt. They came from Vanderbilt, sorry. And he went to Ole Miss, and it was a coach killer. He couldn't win there, and he didn't listen to Daddy Bryant at that time, and he should have. So sometimes you got to look at the situation, not to just to say, I want to be a head coach.
Right. Like I told you, I got one. I was there. I saw it. As soon as we won the Super Bowl 25 in 1991, Parcells has an angioplasty in the offseason. Bill Belichick has gone to Cleveland. We had a running back coach named Ray Handley. Mm-hmm. Ray Handley, after the Super Bowl, was going to be promoted immediately to offensive coordinator, and that did happen. Right after he was promoted to offensive coordinator, that's when Parcells had the angioplasty, right? So now you're stuck with no head coach. George Young decides to reach back for a puppet. He thought Ray Handley would be that great puppet for him because he never thought, George did, that he could run the team while Parcells was there. They were always butting heads. So now George Young saw an opportunity to have a guy there that he didn't have to butt heads with and he could control. Well, we ended up missing the Super Bowl that year and the year after that. And when it was all said and done, Ray Handley was not just roasted. His entire life was turned upside down in regards to rumors and things of that nature. And so it just got real ugly. So like you said, this is a cautionary tale for Kellen Moore. It ain't always rosy on the other side, you know what I'm saying? Some things can happen to where everything can go off the rails, and that's exactly what happened with Ray Handley.
Okay, Everson, let me ask you this. If Belichick had not taken the Browns job, when that happened with Parcells, would Belichick have been the interim guy, or was he not what George Young was looking at as far as being a puppet?
Let me say this. Belichick is more of a, when I say company man, I mean he's very devout to his superiors. He's very devout to the owners and things of that nature.
Sure.
If he would have taken that job, I think he and George Young would have had fewer fights, fewer uproars between the two than what Parcells had. But at the same time, if Belichick didn't like it after 1 year, he would have been out of there. He would have been out of there because he would have known right away if this was a situation for him. If I were Belichick and if I were to step into his shoes, I would not have taken the job under George Young just because of his nature. And that's why Parcells left as well.
The other thing as far as Kellen Moore is concerned, obviously, when you're looking at a college job, it's a different whole job than what being a head coach in the NFL is. And I don't know how much Kellen Moore would enjoy the recruiting aspect of it. People talk about Lincoln Riley being a potential NFL coach. Here's the difference as I see Kellen Moore and Lincoln Riley. Kellen Moore, for the last 9 years, has been cutting his teeth in the NFL, first as a player, then as an assistant coach, then as a coordinator. And so he knows intimately how the NFL works. Okay, he doesn't have the same connections as far as recruiting goes. Lincoln Riley he's never stepped on an NFL campus. He's always groomed himself from when he was a freshman in college to be a college head coach, and he loves the recruiting aspect of it. He recruits great because he loves it. I mean, that's sort of his lifeblood. And so that would be something that Kellen Moore would have to ask himself. How much would I really like the recruiting part of it? Go ahead, Mickey.
No, I was just going to finish the segment off by saying, speaking of Belichick, did you see the phone throwing incident last night?
Yes. Even my wife saw that. She's like, what just happened?
And the cameras caught it. It was great. I can't believe somebody up in the coach's booth suggested to him that they should challenge that. You could see all they had to do was look at the first replay. It was obvious it was a catch, right? And he's chewing the guy out. You could tell he's chewing him out afterwards. Then he takes the phone and boom, throws it against the phone bank.
That's one thing about these masks. You cannot read lips in these masks, okay? And I think the coaches are really taking advantage of that sometimes.
Yeah, you can't read lips, but you can see veins bulging out of foreheads. All right, we continue with more Mick shots in just a moment.
We're back with a tasty treat that's sweeping airwaves and taste buds. It's new Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda. Let's take a listen.
Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda's here. A new combo that's music to my ears, okay. Let's play. Cream Soda and Dr. Pepper time. Pour it in a glass of ice.
Ah, music to my ears and mouth. New Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda.
A delicious duet.
Dear, it's 1908. Don't you think we should get electricity?
And stop using candles to see at night.
It's just electricity lights up the room fast. It's more reliable than candles blowing out, and people seem to love it nationwide.
Well, candles are...
Dear, did you just run into the wall?
Nope. May I have a new candle, please?
Historically, switching to new technology is a no-brainer. Today, it's AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure, and nationwide. Switch to AT&T 5G. It's not complicated. 5G requires compatible plan. May not be in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
I'm Jay Novacek, former tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. Back in the day, I was the guy who always got the tough yards, and that's why I run with John Deere today. In fact, I have a John Deere 3025E tractor that can handle any yard work I need to do, even the tough yards way out back. So if you have 1 acre or 1,000, John Deere has the equipment that's just right for you. Visit a John Deere dealer today and run with us. We are the official tractor provider of your Dallas Cowboys.
There's nothing as unique as our eyes, which is why Essilor pioneers ways to make lenses as unique as you. Verilux for super sharp vision, Essential Blue for protection, and Crizal for freedom from glare. 3 cutting-edge solutions in a single unique lens. So whatever your needs, insist on Essilor. Visit your local Essilor experts and find the perfect lens for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
Back to Mick Shots.
Cowboy fans, celebrate CeeDee's record-breaking rookie season by heading to the Pro Shop and picking up his jersey today. The Pro Shop has a huge collection of jerseys, cold weather gear, and after Christmas deals up to 50% off for every fan. Visit your local Dallas Cowboys Pro Shop or shop.dallascowboys.com for your new gear today.
All right, our final segment here of Mixed Shots. We got about 8 minutes or so to go. One of the other things that Jerry talked
Jones
about this
said
morning
that
was
I
an
didn't
update.
get to because I talked buzzards and ponies. Go ahead.
All right, I'll lead you to more on Jerry. Zack Martin, unlikely this week, but there's hope in the postseason.
Yes, he said for the future there is a possibility. So, we get a chance to see those guys do their rehab outside with Britt Brown, and they're on the resistance cords. And somebody had asked me about him last week, and I said, he doesn't look like, he's doing those side steps that they have him do as well as maybe some of the other guys. So I figured he was a little further behind. So we'll see how he's doing this week, if it's improved. And I have to admit, that's one of the things that I have to do. My rehab, they put these elastic bands around both ankles, or one around both, and you do side steps. And when you squat down and do those for about 10 each way, it's difficult. So when I see those guys on those resistant cords, I'm going, God, that's so easy. What are they doing? That doesn't seem like it takes much effort. Oh, it takes some effort, believe me.
Hey, I got to say, Spags, you should, just from a personal standpoint, you should continue with those bands even as your Achilles starts to feel better.
Yeah.
Excellent workout for you. My son does them all the time. The small tendons are always good to keep those in shape, especially as we get older and our bones start to get a little bit weaker. We need those tendons and muscles to be just a little bit stronger as we go forward. But I was going to say, did you guys hear what Zeke said yesterday in regards to how good he felt?
Yes.
As opposed to during the other periods of the season. He had kind of mentioned that he had been hurting and hadn't said much to anyone about how sore and hurting he has been throughout the entire season. And I don't know if a 100-yard game helps you feel better, or do you feel better and that's why you had the 100-yard game. But either way, he seems to be feeling a whole lot better right now in regards to physically and where his head is at right now. Looking forward to him coming out this weekend and having a really Ezekiel Elliott type of game this weekend.
The other thing that he said after the game, and I thought this was very I don't know if people know who Zeke is. I don't know if they know what's in his heart or just his inner feelings. And he really doesn't allow a lot out. But, he was asked after the game what gave him confidence that they could possibly play for something meaningful in the last game of the season. And he said, because I'm a competitor. If you gave up 5-6 weeks ago, you shouldn't even be. We don't even want you on our side. I mean, we are competitors. The whole team is. We are a team of competitors, and we aren't out of it, And then he kind of explained what they had to do next to be able to get in and needing some help. And as he said at the end, he goes, I think we are catching fire at the right time. So we'll see. But when he said that, I was a little surprised that he was that outspoken. But he's right? Tyrone Crawford said the same thing. He goes, until they say eliminated on the message board, I'm not eliminated. And that's the way you got to play. And you know what? Somehow, some way, they bought into this. And I don't know what causes takeaways the way they've had these last 3 weeks, and you can't coach them. You can do drills, but they just kind of happen, right? But I think if you're playing hard and you're still competing, then maybe you get 10 takeaways in 3 games. It seems improbable. And without those takeaways, they don't win. They don't win 3 games. Everybody knows, well, what's the difference? Well, when you get 10 takeaways and you're a +9, my goodness, you'd have to really screw up to not win those games when you're getting at least 3 every game is what they did, 3, 3, and 4. So they kept playing, and whatever happens on Sunday happens. I get it. But at least they made it interesting to the bitter end, if it's bitter.
I gotta say, Spags, the only thing I disagree with you on is, yes, you do know why they started getting the turnovers. It's because the game plan itself started to work. I always talk about critical moments during a game, and the Cowboys have honed in on that. We talked about this past game. You could clearly see that Kellen Moore's approach to this game was to be successful on first down. And consequently, as much as I've been on his butt, Mike Nolan's defensive strategy was also the same. Let's win the first down, and also, even more important, let's get that third down, because regardless of how many yards we give up and how many points we give up, we give those up because we're not successful mostly on third down. You know how many times we've allowed the team to be successful on third down, either by our mistake covering a guy or our mistakes in penalties. So it seems like we've cut that out. Very few penalties in the secondary this past weekend. Therefore, very few third down successes for the Philadelphia Eagles. So yes, Spags, you do know how those interceptions come, because instead of us putting pressure on ourselves, we put pressure on the opposition. You don't just do that from the defensive line. You do that from strategy. So that's how we started getting these interceptions.
And you know what?
Here's another
As you
thing that
mentioned,
happened.
third down, going into that game, they were giving up third down conversions at 50% rate. 50. If you as a team are converting like 35 to 40% of your third downs, you're sitting there going, that's really
you're
good.
You're successful.
They were giving up 50%, and I think in the game it ended up being 50% again, if I remember correctly, or at least close to it. So yeah.
But what happened was after that first drive, then that's when things got a little bit dicier. After the second quarter and even to the second half, they were a lot more successful on third downs.
So they converted 7 of 17, 41%. But I bet at the first half it was a lot higher than that. Let's see. Third down efficiency. Philadelphia was 5 of 8, 62% the first half. So, yeah. And you know, the other thing they did defensively, and you talked about game plan, is when they got into those third down situations, they rushed 3 guys, kept 2 linebackers and 6 DBs, and used C.J. Goodwin to kind of keep an eye on the quarterback. He would have been one of the few guys on the team that had the speed to be able to run with Jalen Hurts. And I think, as Mike Nolan said, it accomplished 2 things. One, that they had somebody that if Jalen Hurts took off, that could run with him. And 2, because Jalen Hurts realized there was someone to run with him, he was less likely to jump outside the pocket.
He did not know where to throw the ball.
And then he had to throw it, right?
And he did not know where to throw the ball.
Exactly.
That's right.
You know, another thing, and we're out of time, but I want to throw it in there. Going ahead and punting the ball on 4th and 1
I
rather
was
than
thinking
going
of
for
you
it.
on that play.
All right. First quarter, you're down 14-3. And there have been times this season, you're 4th and 1 at your own 34-yard line, and you feel like you got to do something because you don't trust your defense to stop them. And so you got to do more than what is necessary. All right? And they went ahead and punted the ball away from their own 34. And the Eagles started their drive at the 14-yard line. You flipped the field on them. They started at their own 14. They ran it 3 times, a 3 and out. They punt it. And now you're getting the ball back at your own 37, and you put together a 63-yard touchdown drive, and the rest, as they say, is history. And then down on the goal line in the second quarter, you were 3rd and goal at the 1. You had the mental bust, whatever it was, where Dalton had to run it. And now you're 4th and goal at the 2. Rather than going for it on 4th and goal at the 2, go ahead and kick your field goal, take your points, and you're not trying to do too much to help your defense.
You know, when they had that play, looking at them, and I saw the way the offense started the game, I was sitting there going, "Oh, if they punt here, it's going to be 21-3." And I was sitting there going, "Oh, maybe you need to go for it."
One more thing.
What was that, Everson?
Hey, one more thing. I love Dalton. I love Andy Dalton's interview gear. He looks like he's from the Grease Broadway play.
Yes.
He's got the leather coat on. He's got his hair looking all cool. I'm like, who is this guy? John Travolta? What the hell's going on here, man?
Well, we're staying alive.
Yes.
And so that's why he's got the John Travolta look.
Staying alive.
All right. That does it
Good one, Bill.
for Mick Shots. And we will see you again tomorrow at 1:30.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!